What's up, everybody? I have an interesting video on the New York Knicks, and I'm responding here to Knicks Fan TV. They're a pretty big channel talking Knicks always. I've started watching them. They have some interesting opinions on there. One guy that they've talked about recently was Mitchell Robinson. And they've said some things about Mitchell Robinson which I don't necessarily agree with, and I have to respond to that and then kind of go off of that. But let me play you the soundbite from Knicks Fan TV of what they were saying about Knicks potentially extending Mitchell Robinson and what he brings to the team and how good he was in the playoffs and all that other stuff, and then I can respond to that. So listen to the clip and I'll be right back.
Now, the Mitch thing is very interesting because, you know it. He's injury prone. Do you invest in him? You lose him. I think this team takes a tremendous hit defensively, man. I don't see how they compete and be a respectable defensive team without the Block Ness monster there.
So the Mitch thing, you're right, is so interesting. I agree with us starting on Bridges and his extension stuff because that's the most important.
Yeah.
And it's also the most likely to get done, I would say. The Mitch extension eligibility, just from like a thought exercise, is the most interesting. If you're like a real freak like us, you're just a real nerd. The Mitch one is so interesting because that's the one that has the greatest chance of, if you do it, becoming a disaster.
Yes.
Also, it's the one that has the greatest chance of, if you don't do it, it becoming a disaster.
Right.
And that is why it is so interesting. It also, the opposite is true. It's also the one that has the chance of, if you do it, you are the happiest that you could possibly be, and it was the best case situation. And it's also the scenario of, if you don't do it, it could become the best case situation and you could be the happiest you could be. Just because of Mitch's injury history. I think you're right. He's when he is healthy, he is so important. They don't make the conference finals if they don't have Mitchell Robinson.
Facts.
Like, end, like full stop. They do not make the conference finals if they don't have Mitchell Robinson absolutely balling out the way that he did that entire playoff run. And doing it against completely different styled teams, doing it against the rugged and young and raw Detroit Pistons, and then doing it against the finesse and veteran and experienced and champion Celtics with, all NBA players aplenty and whatever else, dominating both of those series.
Yeah.
The Knicks need him as somebody who can protect the rim next to Cat, whether he starts or not. They need that as an option. And here's the thing with Mitch. He's an expiring contract, $12.9 million. If you don't keep Mitch, you have no way to replace him with someone who's as good at what he does. You just don't have that. And if you are of the philosophy that in order to maximize Towns, you want to play him next to a legitimately awesome defensive center. And Mitch is... If you thought Mitchell Robinson was merely a good defensive center, which would have been an okay opinion to have leading into the playoffs, because we didn't know if he was going to get back to what he was. But if you thought he was just good and not awesome defensively, then I don't think anybody saw him in the playoffs and didn't change their mind.
Sure.
I was skeptical because we just hadn't seen it in literally years. And then it got to the playoffs and I was like, he's literally better than he's ever been. He was playing, if he maintained his level of play for 65 plus regular season games, he'd be on all defense team.
Sure.
Might be on defensive player of the year ballot.
Sure.
He was that good. So you need a guy that level next to Towns and that style next to Towns. And if you lose Mitch, you're not going to be able to replace that. At the same time, because of the health history, if you give Mitch guaranteed years, and he gets hurt and suffers a serious injury, which would suck for him. Now you've got this legitimately sized, basically just head of dead money on your books.
All right, you guys heard what was said, and I'm going to go and address a couple of these things that were just said. So we know Mitchell Robinson is a guy that's on a $12.9 million contract that's about to expire after this season. The Knicks have a question. Should they extend him? Should they not extend him? He's injury prone. If he stays healthy, he might be good. If he doesn't stay healthy, then he's going to be a problem if we extend him and give him multiple years on a contract and all that. I understand that. But I'll be honest with you. I don't see Mitchell Robinson as this great player as these guys are talking. I don't see him. I've watched the Knicks for so many years. I've watched Mitchell Robinson from the first season he played for the Knicks. Okay? From the first season. And there were teams there in the NBA with defensive centers that weren't really effective on offense before, and they won championships and things like that. And I could give you an example. Ben Wallace, for example. Now, Ben Wallace was a great defensive center for the Detroit Pistons. In 2003-2004, the championship season of the Pistons, he was 29 years old, but the guy played 40 freaking minutes a game. Now, you can, as just a defensive player, you can influence a game playing 40 minutes a game. But what are you really influencing playing 17, 18 minutes a game? Like, seriously? And I'm giving you these numbers, and I'm going to show you why in a second. But Ben Wallace, even in the regular season, in his best seasons, he was averaging like 37 minutes a game. Mitchell Robinson is just not that player. Second of all, I think even, for 26 years old, the guy is still very immature. I'm sorry, he is. I see what he's posting. I see how he's behaving, all that stuff. To me, I'm 45 years old. I'm used to old school players, all that. He's just not there for me. I apologize. That's my opinion. Then as I'm looking, because I've been told here that Mitchell Robinson was dominating in the playoffs last season. Dominating. He came in and he was dominating the Detroit Pistons, and he was dominating the Boston Celtics. I didn't hear a mention about the Indiana Pacers, though, and I wonder why that happened. But I've been told that he was dominating. So let me go and look at these series. When we look at the Detroit Pistons series, Mitchell Robinson took 15 free throws in that series. 15. You know how many he made? 4. He made 4 free throws. You think he offset this with his defensive play? Looking at statistics, he did not. 0.7 average in blocks. 0.8 average in steals. He's not going to have a lot of steals, but I just want to mention that. 0.2 in assists. 5.7 under 6 rebounds a game. 3.7 points a game. And the guy averaged 16 and a half minutes in that series. How much did he actually freaking dominate playing 16 minutes a game, guys? He didn't even play a freaking half. He played a third of the game. I understand he changed the shot here. He changed the shot there. He got an offensive rebound here. But how many did he actually get? If his rebounds a game are 5.7 and averaging less than a freaking block a game. How much did he really contribute here? 6 games, he played 99 minutes total in that series. But what sticks out to me is 4 of 15 on free throws. Whatever he did defensively there, or rebound, or whatever it might be, this destroyed it. He lost us 11 points in that series. And some of these games were freaking close, where they shouldn't have been, if you look at that statistic. And they're fouling centers more now Because when you look at Ben Wallace attempts from free throws a game, even in the playoffs, were like 4, 3, 1.5, 5. In the championship season, there was 5 free throws a game. Mitchell Robinson is averaging 15 attempts because the tactics changed. If he would be playing where they don't foul him and he's just playing, they don't have a hacker Mitch, that's a different story. If he'd shoot 5 free throws, make 2, I wouldn't make a stink out of it. That's 3 points. But this is 11, just in one series. Now let's go and look at the Boston Celtics series, okay? Because I was just told he was dominating. He was dominating that series too. Mitchell Robinson, free throws, he did a little bit better. 14 free throws made out of 31 attempts, still below 50%, way below 50%. He was averaging 8 rebounds a game, better, but he was also averaging more minutes a game. So 20.6, just under 21 minutes a game, 8 rebounds a game, 4.7 points. So he improved his scoring by 1 point because he played 5 more minutes or 4 more minutes. In blocks, he actually declined in the Boston series. He averaged 0.2 blocks a game, guys. 0.2 blocks. More minutes, less impact as far as I see it. He had some offensive rebounds here and there, yes, of course, but let me ask you a question. Who did the Boston Celtics actually have to counter him? Because if they would have had a healthy Porzingis would have smoked his ass all freaking series. What would Mitch Robinson do with Porzingis out on the outside? And Porzingis is a damn good rebounder too. Pretty good defender. What would Mitchell Robinson do? Porzingis was off. He was not there. He had some health issues. Nobody really knows what was going on. But don't tell me Mitchell Robinson was dominating against Detroit. He was dominating against Boston. Where the hell was he dominating? I think this guy has been such a low level and always injured, for 7 years that we just expected so little from the guy. Just the little that he gave us last playoffs was like, wow, this guy is awesome. We've lowered our standards. That's the way I see it. Not good. Let me tell you what he did in the Indiana series. Indiana really took care of and kind of used the hacker Mitch, which was interesting. We lost that series 4-2 in 6 games. And I personally think Mitchell Robinson has a lot of responsibility on that. You go to Mitchell Robinson in the Indiana series, and you look at his free throw attempts for the whole series, not too many. 10 free throws attempted, 4 made. So he's 40%. Why so little on the free throws? Because Hacker Mitch, he pretty much was able to play like the last minutes of every quarter. That's what they did. Minutes played total in every game, 24.6. So he played more minutes, but he played those minutes in the beginning of the first, in the beginning of the second, whatever it might be. But Indiana did a really good job noticing when they could get the Knicks into a bad spot, and then they would foul Mitchell Robinson when they had him out there to use him against the Pacers. And the Pacers struggled against him when he was there, but they really got him out quick once they started fouling him. Really quick. And when you look at improved minutes, improved blocks, 1.5, then he had 1 steal, good, half assist, good, averaged 7.5 rebounds, so less rebounds in 4 extra minutes compared to the Boston series. But Indiana had some big guys, didn't they? Indiana had some big guys. 5.7 points, That was Mitchell Robinson. And I do not like what Mitchell Robinson is giving us. I'm not so hyped on the guy. You know something? Every freaking offseason, I see this guy posting videos for the past 4 years, shooting free throws, shooting three-pointers, working on his post game, all that stuff. And I can understand Knicks fans, so just give me a second. I can understand Knicks fans saying Tom Thibodeau never gave him a chance, never played anything for him, whatever. I get it. But when you're working that much on your game and you're posting videos left and right, you can't freaking work on your free throws to at least be like a 65% free throw shooter? He has a decent stroke on his hand. I mean, he has a large hand. It looks awkward sometimes, but I think it's lack of practice. His mechanics are a little bit off. But if you would take your time, half the time that you put into your freaking truck, put him into free throw shooting. Put him into free throw shooting. You'd be a 65 to 70% free throw shooter. They wouldn't do Hack-a-Mitch no more. And we would win more games. I think this Indiana series would have been different too. We had some close games in this series. Look at this. It's game 2. 114-109. 114-109. Game 2. Game 3. 106-100. Knicks win. Game 4. Pacers win 130-121. Game 5. Knicks win big. And game 6, they were just demolished. But game 2 sticks out. Game 1 sticks out. Let me see the stats for game 1, for example. Indiana Pacers won by 3 points in that overtime after Halliburton hit that damn freaking three-pointer. I'm looking at the New York Knicks, looking at Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson, 0 for 2 on free throws. If the damn guy shot 50%, we would have won that game by 1 point. That three-pointer wouldn't have saved the Indiana Pacers. 0 for 2 on free throws. That's game 1. Let me look at game 2 real quick. Just for context. Game 2, Mitchell Robinson, 2 of 4 on free throws. 50%. I'm sorry, I don't see this guy as this great player. He could be. If he got a little bit better overall, he worked on his free throws and all that stuff. I mean, you see the damn videos he's posting on Instagram, and I see them on X, working on his post-game moves, turnaround jumpers, hook shots, and free throws. He's hitting them in those videos. But you know something? He could take 300 of those free throws, film 50 of them that he made, make a nice edit out of that, and it looks like he's making all of them. Let's see what he does in games. I wouldn't extend him right now. I'd like to see what he does this season. And if he's not really improved as his videos show and he keeps bragging about, then trade the freaking guy. We could get somebody more balanced. Maybe not as great a defender, but a good defender. But a decent offensive guy. At least a guy that could shoot some damn free throws and be a little bit more mature. I think we could get a guy for a lot of NBA teams would like to have Mitchell Robinson just for the defensive purposes, not to really depend on him too much like the Knicks want to do sometimes. The Knicks just don't have enough to have such a high and big liability on the offensive end like Mitchell Robinson. They just don't. Mitchell Robinson is too big of a liability on the offensive end. If he can improve his free throws to 65, 70%, I'm changing my opinion. What's his name? Fred Katz. He's the athletic writer that was talking on that soundbite. He was mentioning that Mitchell Robinson talking about him as this unbelievable guy. If you've seen him in these playoffs, how could you not change your mind about him? I've seen him every freaking game, and I dislike him even more. So I don't know what you're talking about, brother. I have no idea. Let me know what you guys think. Comment section is open. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Overall, Knicks Fan TV, following you guys, going to be responding to some of your videos, because I'm going to be talking. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm going to be talking a little bit more Knicks too. So I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.